Hello, here we are at Erica Falls, but I'm going to call this a fire walk. Hopefully there will be no fire in this walk, but starting up here, I'll show you right now everything that was burnt by that field fire and then that brush fire. That was the extent of it right there. Let me zoom in. Let me get back here and zoom in. I think this may be beginning to become a familiar site or vantage point. And here, there you can see the field where the grass fire occurred. And there you can see where it climbed the bank. Maybe on the way it would be worth it to show you, give you a measure of how hot it was. These are the sycamores, and it got pretty hot around the sycamores, and this one as well. Well, the whole thing was hot, but the lane stopped it. I knew the lane was going to stop it. Also, the road stopped it, and I knew that would occur as well. I started it over there. Okay, here is where I started the fire. It was to use up prunings that had come from, my son had pruned this willow hedge, and you can see here, you get a measure of how hot that was as it went up through there. And the wind at the time was blowing in that direction, and it should have been contained, but it gradually shifted and it began to move up the field. I would have stopped it if I could, but I really couldn't. So I let it go, and you know, now up there at the pallet fence, there's a ditch, and I was very confident it would stop it too. And of course, the green grass does stop it. And so here basically ended. Well, we worked on it until we got up there. And then it was basically out. Seemed like it was in control, and here ended Act 1 with two players, characters. But I was watching things still, and then I looked over here to my left, and I can zoom into it right there. I realized that it was not out along that edge. There had been a hot spot. And it jumped over. And then I ran, and that's when I made the mistake of not soaking my shirt to put it out. I just couldn't do it with what I had. I guess it must have been here that there was a hot spot, and that it jumped across. Look at the skunk cabbage. It hardly even noticed the fire. But I recall there was the spot that I tried so desperately to stop it once I knew that it was going to head up that hill. So fortunately, my neighbor had made this hay. And so here the fire, it stopped on its own. I actually don't think I came through here and stopped it. It stopped on its own. But as I said, right here, once I saw the fire had hit these brush piles, and there were maybe 8 of them here. I have to get that piece of pipe. And it hit them, I realized, well, as I said before, that was going to be a big enough fire that the fire company was going to come whether I called them or not. And so at that point I hollered and got the attention of someone that would call the fire company. If my neighbor had not made this hay, conceivably his house would have been endangered, conceivably, but it was mowed. You know, he had mowed around her. But there's a lesson to be learned here. People who build houses and don't have yards that either through grazing or mowing they keep short. Houses, for example, in the middle of woods, they run a risk beyond what they're doing. All right, now here you can see it's rather dramatic, the difference. But again, yeah, by this time I was here and I was watching, but the fire stopped. It had no fuel. At what you might call the climax of Act 2, this was a very busy place. There were probably 5, maybe more, probably more vehicles here. Sirens were going, lights flashing, radios. Probably 20 people. And you know, it was overkill, but you just don't know with fires like that. And here, stopping it here, not that it was that aggressive at that point, was almost like, you know, I sort of said to the guys, you need rope climbing equipment, because to go up and down that bank was rather hard. Alright, maybe I'll finally just go over to one other spot here, to that spot. The wind is blowing pretty strong. You may not be able to hear me, but it was from this spot that I was filming my prospectus of last December, I think it was. And I'll come back here in May 1st is my plan. But anyway, if you wanted to, I don't know if I'll give you the link or not, but if you wanted to, you could go back and see what it looked like at that time. Alright, I'm still going to go down to the barn to show you the equipment that I should have had. On my way though, well, a couple of comments. One, you know, some people expressed surprise that pallet fence didn't burn. Well, you know, it's not that easy sometimes to start a fire. The fire burnt right under, over, around that pile of brush and didn't start it. But anyway, while I'm here, I thought I should maybe say that there are going to be some benefits from this. I'm going to now be able to reveal more easily the archaeological record that was here. And I'm going to, as soon as possible, or as soon as sensible, I'm going to put my cows on this field and henceforth keep it mowed and short. Now I think we'll go to the barn. Maybe a close-up of what it looks like would be worthwhile. When I introduced this in the last videos, one of the things I didn't mention is that this is commonly done in parts of the world. In France, you think of that as a, you know, industrialized modern country. But my wife and I were traveling between Paris and that word that's almost impossible to say. Well, where that cathedral is, I can't think what it is. But anyway, they were burning the stubble. It was August, and they were burning the stubble off the fields. You know, this is within 20 miles south of Paris. I feel silly. It's just a different world. I can't think of that at the moment. Chartres. There it is. I got it. Okay, here's the tool that I had, the shovel that I had, and it was the wrong tool for the job. But it put out a lot of fire 2 days ago. And I put it out by going like that. I'm using my right hand, so I can't, and you use 2 hands, but it snuffed it out. And it worked well, but it was round. It was just the wrong kind of shovel to have. I'll show you what I should have had. My goats, they were aware that something special was going on. They got out in the midst of Act 2. I think it was Act 2, might have been Act 1. But anyway, here I am in the barn, and this was what I needed. I needed a shovel like this. Either me, then I could have snuffed it out very well. Either me or the man with me. One would have been enough, or both would have been perfect. And an even better shovel, I've never used it for that purpose, would have been this one. That would have made the difference. Or, you know, yeah, or, but I should say and you, I'm doing this to teach. I still feel quite shamefaced about this all. A bucket, but not an empty bucket, a bucket full of water, and that bucket should have, ideally you would have not your shirt, but a burlap sack. You know, now sacks tend to be plastic, and that wouldn't work so well, but it'd be better than nothing. All right, well, we'll say goodbye. The goats wonder what's going on. I'll be back. This is Peter. That's Heidi. This one is Frankie. And this one has no name yet. So sad. Bye-bye.